Hey everyone. What I've got for you today is a video where I go over the Wuben X4. This is actually being released this month, today actually, as I make this video. Wuben sent me this a week or so ago ahead of launch so I could try it out to help me be able to talk about it right at release for you. And I think it's a pretty cool light overall. It's kind of a bigger brother to the G5 that I had talked about in a previous video. Interesting style light. This one's basically the shape of a Zippo. And I thought that was a really cool addition to the collection. This one is a shape that I've also never had before, but works as a pretty good all-around and work light especially. So I'm leaving this here up on the screen. If you want to pause the video just to look over the modes and the specs quick, I'm not going to spend a whole lot of time going over those because, as you guys know, if you've watched my other reviews of tools, I like talking about what it's actually like to use it more than going over all the specs. So there's that. All right. Right out the gate, I'll say this is pretty much everything that was kind of cool and novel about the G5, just scaled up. And it has two different styles of lights. You have lights on this side that is a white, and then it's got colors you can choose from, and then you have your main lights at the end here. Now it's got a slide lock just like the G5 did, so when it's down here and it's in lock mode, the button doesn't work. Good for keeping in a pocket, but with one asterisk, which I'll talk about in a little bit. Then you have the ability to slide up, and now when you press this button, it lights up the light on the side. If you press and hold, it will toggle between the white light or this. This little dial here is where you would adjust brightness. So you can turn the light down, you could turn it up real bright, and if you've got it on the color mode, then this dial will swap between the different colors. I think that's pretty cool. I don't know that I would use all the colors on here, but there are definitely use cases for red light when you're in low light scenarios and you don't want to ruin your dark vision or you don't want it to be visible from super far away. And there are some cases where I would use sort of an olive green, if you can get it there, just because in a subtle way, green light can give you a little bit more sense of detail in dark scenarios. So sometimes that's helpful. But I will say where this really proved itself to me was the other day. Anytime I have a real task I could use a light like this on, I love to try it. My wife was having an issue with her heat shield on her SUV, and so I jacked it up and used this to climb under there. And normally I use a headlamp when I'm doing that kind of work, but sometimes it slides off if I don't make it real tight. What was cool about this is I could kind of slide it along the ground and then it would just shine up at the bottom of the car. That was really helpful actually for what I was doing. Then I could still be hands-free and I wasn't worried about the light. And this also, more than having a headlamp in that kind of setting, I think was useful because then it didn't matter where I was positioning my head. I could have the light directed on a set spot that I really needed it, and that was really helpful. So big marks there for that kind of feature. And then we slide this up to that switch. It activates the end here, and that's controlled the same way. With this dial, you can go between pretty dim and very bright. So there's your dimmest mode there, and then you can go up to turbo. In the past, I haven't been a huge fan of stepless light designs, but the dial on this really makes that user-friendly. I think in the past, I just didn't care for holding a button and watching it go all the way up, and then if you wanted to come down, you had to let it go all the way up so that it could come all the way back down. That's kind of annoying to me about other lights. This solves that, and this is the first, this and the G5 are the first lights I've used where I don't mind a stepless design. And the idea that this can go up as high as 1500 lumens or as low as 5 gives you a heck of a lot of versatility on your main light here. And while it's not a super throwy light, as you can see here, on its turbo mode, it still blows up everything in front of you in a tremendous width, and it, on its brighter mode, still has some good reach. I still think this is a good all-around light. And it's shaped in a way that's a little bit less girthy than the circular lights that you might put in your pocket. So it's not bad for pocket carry, and of course it comes with this nice clip here. The one thing, that what I mentioned earlier, I would come back to, and here it is, that I think could have been done a little better about this design is, because of the direction that they build this to want to go in your pocket, as you slide it down to have this come up over your pocket, often in my pocket anyway, it rubs right here. Well, because of the direction of the slide, what happens when it rubs up? it pushes this up. So now, even if you had it locked for your pocket, sometimes your pocket will slide that up. And I've still had this once or twice come on in my pocket. If they had either reversed the direction that this was going to go into your pocket or just reversed the order of the slide things, that would have solved that. That's a minor nitpick, but it is worth noticing because that happened to me once or twice. And I was sort of like, why is there a light in my pocket? I thought I locked that. And then I could see that that was what was happening. Now, what is nice though is this is set up in an orientation where if you have a good bill on your hat, you can stick it there and use this in that kind of configuration. I wouldn't recommend using what would become the bottom light right in your eyes there. This is a little heavy, obviously, to wear on a hat, but you could make it work. And the bottom here is also magnetic, and so you could stick it onto things sideways or whatever when you're working, and I think that's great. I actually think this has a heck of a lot more versatility as a work light than even as just a trail light and stuff like that, even though it would do a fine job for that as well. It's a fairly, as you can see here, but not overly green. It's got a little bit of a yellowy tint to it, which I find pleasing. I don't have any problem with the tint of this beam, and I think the beam profile that it's giving you is not bad. The combination of all of the different LEDs they have going on here to give you different types of light all at once, interesting in the way that that comes out. And I was sort of surprised at how well done this was, that with this many lights going at once, you're still mostly seeing one hotspot, and you're not seeing like a whole bunch of different like weird patterns. So this was well executed on their part for that. Now, one criticism that I had given of the G5 in my other review was just to say this has a built-in non-replaceable battery as far as I understand it. And so it is only $25, and so, you know, it's as a light you're going to use for a couple years and then probably have to get rid of. That's not a huge price tag, but this kind of solves that problem with this switch right here. So you flick that up and then you push this down and the battery bay opens up, and you can see this is your standard 18650 rechargeable battery, meaning while you can charge it in this, which I'll show you in just a second, if you have a multi-charger like a bay charger, you can put this in there also, and when this battery wears out, you can use any button top 18650 that you have in your collection, which is fantastic. Snaps back on. Here, I'll do that again just so you can see it from this angle. This just snaps in like that, and then you take this little lock thing and slide it down. That way you can't accidentally open that battery bay back up. And then when you want to charge it, you pull that slide all the way up and it reveals a USB-C port. So I don't know how super waterproof this slide would be, but then again, if I'm honest, of all the years I've played with flashlights, I think only a couple of times has the waterproof nature of a light really been important, and that was with my Lumen Top Tool AA, which I accidentally left in my pants and it went through the wash probably 4 or 5 times, and because it was so waterproof, it always survived. I wouldn't necessarily want this to go through the wash, but I think it's very handy on any EDC kind of light to have USB-C charging built into it. If you don't want to use it, you don't have to. You could always just take the battery out. But I think this is a really nice combination of features, that you have the nice pocketability with the clip, you have the ability to swap the battery, you have a magnetic tail, and if you don't want it to set magnetically on stuff, this is a shape where you could easily just set it on a table and it's not going to roll away like a cylindrical flashlight traditionally would. And the idea that you have the ability to swap colors and swap between this really useful side light or this would be great for also if you were camping or in a scenario where you're like playing cards with somebody. You could just set that on the table like a lantern, or you could even set it up on its side and just have it like aim at your card game. When I've been camping, this style of light is really handy to have over a more traditional flashlight. So I just think it's a nice batch of features. Really interesting style light. I've not had one like this in my collection before, so this has been fun to check out. If you guys are interested in getting your hands on one, I've got some links in the description that you can check out. As I'm releasing this video, this light is just released, so it is ready for purchase, and I think that's the bulk of what I have to say about it at the moment. I'm pretty impressed with it. I'll do some follow-up reviews as I've put it through some more different use cases, but like I said, primarily as a work light and then a little bit as a step outside and do some stuff when it's dark out light. This is phenomenal batch of features that it gives you, so I can recommend it for sure. Thank you to Workhouse for letting me check this light out. Like most of my reviews, when someone sends it to me, you know, I go into it saying I'm going to say whatever I feel about it. This was an easy one to recommend. After the G5, I was excited to see other of these kind of flat designs and what they have there. If you have questions about something I didn't cover in the video, go ahead and put it down below. If you've used others of these types of lights before, tell me about your experiences. I always love hearing how other people use their tools and flashlights. And otherwise, guys, thank you for watching. I'll catch you in the next one.